Hello YouTube. Today here's another part of my alternate history timeline universe called the Thomas Thundergem universe. It's basically a crazy thing that you would see your average 13-year-old's brain. Oh, yeah. I mean, 14-year-old's brain. I can't even remember my age. So here's the battle of two lakes. Basically, what this battle was is near the Canadian border during 1871, which was in this alternate timeline universe. In 1869, the British declared war on the Union, trying to take back their old land that they used to own where the United States would be. They called it the Anglo-American War. It lasted from 1869 to 1874. But anyways, so here's the Battle of Two Lakes. So basically, this was originally, in the beginning, only the cavalry and artillery was here. These are supposed to be cities right here. But anyways, then as time went on, they keep adding more troops and mustering up their forces. This was the beginning of the battle. Sorry that I gasped. I'm kind of sick today. But anyways, whatchamacallit? Yeah. But their battle didn't really start until July of 1870, because the battle started April of 1869 when the war started. So basically they mustered up all their forces, most of their forces, just have a big battle. Basically it was basically playing a game of chicken. Who would get more troops, and basically what the British were thinking, I can get more troops, that would scare the Americans. And the Americans were thinking, if I get more troops, that'll scare them and make them go away, which is basically what they were trying to do. But it turns out none of them run away. But the battle actually started when the 5th Cavalry Corps recon, a squadron of recon soldiers, one squadron of cavalrymen charged at the British positions. Harrington's dragoons basically countercharged them and pushed them out of the redoubt. But they were also most of them were corporals, sergeants, and sorry, I just had to do my laundry. But anyways, so basically all the 5th Cavalry Company, the 5th Cavalry Corps charged at the British position, but the British held them off with a ton of musket fire, which turned most of them away. They made them mostly retreat. Which made them retreat across their border, because this line right here is their border, and these are supposed to represent the Great Lakes are just supposed to be representing small lakes. And also, just to give you a little insight, 4 of these squares right here is a mile. So this is 2 miles by 2 miles by 2.5 miles board thingy. I know it's a Stratego board, but hell. But anyways, the American cavalry had lost a significant number of troops of cavalrymen, 2 squadrons specifically, and the British lost only 3 cavalrymen and only one company of infantry. Meanwhile, in the lakes, artillery had been trying to bombard the seaport to prevent any potential amphibious assault to take them out. But there was only about 5 companies of infantry right here that was able to do an amphibious assault. Even then, they were too afraid that they were going to be gunned down by British artillery to actually do anything. Meanwhile, down in the south, let me think for a moment. Meanwhile, in the east of the border, their reinforcement cavalry had finally arrived, and then they charged the Dragon Corps, which was exactly what you think, a bunch of dragon furry people. Basically, they were just dragon people, and they were a part of the British Army, and they made about 15 companies of soldiers. But anyways, the cavalry charged them and took out the first column, scrambling it, then retreated across the creek. Yeah, I said that twice. But their strategy was that they were going to convince the Dragon Corps, and no, they weren't giant dragon people, they were just average human size, because many years back they gave them medicine that made them short, made them human size instead of 20-foot monsters. But anyways, what their strategy was is that they were going to charge here, but these were all riflemen, specifically armed with a Sharps rifle. So they were going to gun them down heavily. But what they didn't know is that the Dragon Company, the Dragon Corps, was armed with a new type of breech loader. With Henry Martini breech loader, plus 0 of them, not a lot of them died. So they sent out 3 companies to go scout out, but they never returned because they all died, which is kind of sad. But another thing that they did is these light howitzers, these 6-pounder cannons couldn't even make it half a mile. But what they did do is that there was a small island on here, which they could fit about 10 cannons on. 10 cannons and have enough room for more troops. So they called 2 more of the Dragon Corps to go on that island. And now they could reach the infantry line. They attacked and that made the first line route. They retreated a quarter of a mile, where they were out of the range of fire. Then they proceeded to retreat from the island before they could call in Wright Flyer support. In this universe, Thomas Wilbert Wright and his brother Thomas Wright. Oliver Wright. The Wright brothers were born in the 1820s. So by this time, they had not airplanes, but Wright flyers, but they armed them with Gatling guns, and basically that was their version of air support. But anyways, I'm gonna part 2 to this. See you later, guys.